Hey bestie, I'm going to be talking about the weirdest and most unique questions I've ever gotten as a tattoo artist. These are some weird questions that I personally received and some weird questions that I've heard from people before, such as how payment works when you get a tattoo and why it costs so much money, how glow-in-the-dark ink works, because apparently that's a thing, and what do you do when you make a mistake, and a couple more questions. Let's start off with the biggest question I get, which is how much do tattoos actually cost and why are they so expensive? It doesn't matter if you're getting a teeny tiny tattoo or a huge tattoo, it's going to be pretty expensive because you're paying for a sterile setup. It doesn't matter if you're getting a small tattoo because the tattoo artist is still going to have to set up a sterile environment just for you. So it's not like if it's a small tattoo, they just set up a small little tiny station. They're still going to have to set up the same exact station that they would for a huge tattoo, a whole sleeve, a back piece, whatever it is. That's why there's that minimum rate. You might call in and be like, hey, I just want a tattoo that's like 2 inches big, and it's still gonna be like $100 or $150. The next question is, do tattoo artists like when the client knows exactly what they want, or do tattoo artists want that freedom? I think both are fun and great. If a client comes in and just says, do whatever you want, I like your art, that's a really exciting and fun thing to do. But it's also a little bit nerve-wracking because I'm still a person, so if I make a design that you don't like, that's gonna be really awkward, but we can just work on it, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm gonna tattoo it without them knowing. Unless they suggest that, or that's what they want, that'll be really stressful. And I don't think that's something that I would like to do just because I'd be so afraid of not getting the right tattoo, unless I really know the person really well. So that brings me to my next question. What happens if a tattoo artist does make a mistake? I would definitely say that that was one of the scariest things for me to think about. Just thinking about what would happen if like the client sneezed or if I moved the wrong way and I made a mark that was the wrong mark. Oh my goodness, that just brings up anxiety thinking about it. But the thing is, of course, try to avoid mistakes, of course. But at a certain point, if you make a mistake, you have to own up to it. You have to tell the client. There are a lot of things that a tattoo artist can do. One is to own up to it. 2 is to try to fix it. So if it's something that's kind of like a little bit outside of the line, make the full line thicker and then you won't see it. If it's a really big mess up, like the whole stencil was like wrong or something like that, at that point, that's a really big problem. You shouldn't even get paid for that tattoo because you didn't communicate properly with the client. Now, if the client was just too afraid to bring up an idea or to tell you like, oh, I don't like that, and then later they complain, that's on the client because they didn't communicate, right? You're not a mind reader. I made a mistake when I first started out. I actually have a permanent mark right here on my knuckle. I'll put a picture or video right here, and it's been there for the past few years already, and I don't mind it. It's pretty cool. I mean, I have a knuckle tattoo. Moving on to the next topic. Facial tattoos. Do all tattoo artists do facial tattoos? Can you even get a facial tattoo? That is totally up to your tattoo artist because facial tattoos are kind of in a different realm. Of course, they're still tattoos, but if somebody's coming in and they have no tattoos, but they want a facial tattoo, a lot of tattoo artists are going to say no. So I personally don't do facial tattoos just because there's a lot of reasons, but I just don't do them. There's a lot of tattoo artists that do them, obviously, but I just don't. It's just not my thing. What's something I wish that clients didn't do? I would say there are a lot of things I wish that clients didn't do. One is to come to their session and not have showered and they smell and you're sitting with them for hours, so it's like it's obvious, or brush their teeth. Because if you're not brushing your teeth and you're talking to me and I brush my teeth, I always chew gum and brush my teeth before a session because we're gonna be talking, and especially when a client is nervous, they talk more. So it's just a little bit like uncomfortable, I guess. If you wear a mask, then of course you can avoid that, but not everybody wears masks, so it could be a problem. Another thing is for them to rush you. Like you're rushing something that's going to be on your body forever, which I think is a little bit silly. I mean, if you have somewhere to be, like don't schedule an appointment that day at all because it might take longer than you think or the tattoo artist thinks. They want to make sure it's done well, and if you're sitting there rushing them like, oh, I have to go to dinner, it's like, go cancel that dinner because this is more important. This is gonna be on your body forever. Now, glow-in-the-dark tattoos. Just a side note, I've never done a glow-in-the-dark tattoo. I've never even seen one, but I've heard about it online, I've read about it, and they just use something called phosphorus ink to make it glow. I don't know enough about it, so I'm not gonna talk on it at all, but I think it sounds cool, but I don't know how it works. I don't know anything about it. If you know about glow-in-the-dark tattoos, or if you have one, leave me a comment. I would love to hear about it. Tattoo artists make their job look really chill and easy, but they actually put in a lot of time, energy, work, focus every day. Even when they're not seeing clients, they're working on their art, they're drawing, they're practicing on themselves, or they're practicing on something. It's a constant state of you need to be practicing all the time, because if you're not, it's not that you get rusty, but you're just not as crisp as you could be if you were practicing. If they're still actively tattooing, they are practicing all the time. They just don't do it in front of you, so it looks like, oh, their job is so easy. They just kind of come in, listen to some cool music, and it's like they just do some art. And of course that part is fun, and you get to meet new people. They are putting in so much time for you. Some of these tattoo artists, if it's a really complicated design, are practicing your design many times beforehand so that on the day they do a good job, which is standard. You know, they have to do a good job. That's what they're signing up to do. So don't rush your tattoo artist. They're trying their best. They're trying to give you something that you're gonna love. Just a side note, if you ever go to a tattoo shop or a tattoo artist and they don't have gloves on, immediately leave the situation, because they are not sterile. They are not doing things the right way. You have no idea if the machine they're using is sterilized. You could literally get sick if they're not doing things correctly. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any other questions or unique things that you've always wanted to ask a tattoo artist but you never got the chance to, or you were too embarrassed to, leave me a comment and I will either make a separate video, a part 2, or I'll just answer it in the comments. So leave me a comment. I'm curious to see what's the most unique question I can get. So I'm very excited to read all your questions and hope you guys liked the video. Thank you so much. Bye, besties.